What's up, everybody? It's Will here from Against.The.Galaxy, bringing you another episode of our podcast. I got what's seeming to be the two regulars with me. I got Nicky,
What's up, guys?
and I got Mike.
What's going on?
It's just the three of us tonight. Quick reminder, follow the social medias, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter, hit us up on Discord. We're always around. Got a lot of Set 5 testing stuff going on. We like bouncing ideas off anybody, just as much as we like answering questions. So feel free to reach out to us, interact. It helps our engagement and it helps us bring more to you guys. So the first big topic we got, now that we're winding down towards the end of the PQ season, the next big event for everybody, Star Wars Unlimited 2025 Galactic Championship, Las Vegas. I know we're all real excited about it. Three of us have our buy for day one, so we get to go in with that little extra advantage. And we're starting to get some more information as we get closer to it, trying to build that hype. I know probably a lot of you guys have seen the commercials popping up on Facebook and YouTube feeds. I know we have just a big, exciting event. I mean, what are you guys thinking right now? Is the anticipation killing you yet?
Yeah, I'm starting to get real excited for it. Um, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but seeing the side event structures and testing a lot for Set 5, I'm getting real excited. Just want to play another big tournament. I had so much fun in Richmond, and I know the Galactics are going to be even better with all of the cool promo cards and them trying to go all out for the first World Championships.
I'm even enjoying just right now, just getting to test some of the new cards that have been spoiled and kind of working through some stuff and getting some new ideas. I'm having fun getting prepared for this and having a lot of fun playing Star Wars. So, yes, the event is going to be a lot of fun. Yes, there's a lot of anticipation for it, but enjoying the process, enjoying the testing has been a lot of fun too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I probably just not just speaking for myself, but you guys the same. Like this is the most testing I've done leading up to anything. I mean, in a long time, whether it's Star Wars Magic or anything. Like I'm like knee deep in this stuff and just ready for just trying everything right now. There's a ton of excitement. Obviously, we want to be the guys that break. And I don't know. What about you guys? You think you're playing like a ton, right?
Yeah, I think I've played over 100 games in the last week and a half, just against you guys. Anything I can really do. So I'm having a lot of fun. I get to, try some new things out, see how the cards are working together. So a lot of cool ideas, a lot of cool interactions, a lot of new toys to play with. So it's been fun.
Yeah, for sure. I've been testing as much as I can. I've been busy with some other stuff recently, but I've definitely gotten a lot of games in with just some of the early spoilers, like a lot more than I have in the past. And I guess that's because there's, real stakes for this one. But I've been enjoying playing a lot of the new cards, and we'll talk about some of those cards later, but I'm super hyped.
Yeah, I mean, like every set that's come out has kind of been like a little bit of a whatever thing, but now I feel like I'm pouring over those spoiler pages every single day, looking for the next thing that came out, how that's going to interact, how that's going to jump into some of the decks. Not just that, like I personally have been testing, but like some of the stuff that I've seen, testing games. It's been interesting to see what people are coming up with, where people's minds are going into, this big event. So, Nikki, you mentioned it. I mean, I'm a little bit more focused on the main event, but I know you plan on scrubbing out. So these side events are a big deal for you. You want to go into some of these?
Yeah, definitely plan on scrubbing out. Not that, I'm looking for what I can play on Friday, but, whatever. I
Yeah, no.
think most of this is the standard stuff. Premium pods are the best of one, single elimination, fill and fire stuff. The win a box was, I think, another 8-person pod, but with higher stakes because the winner gets like 2,400 tickets or something large, which sounds like it would be enough to buy a box if the boxes are 100 tickets apiece. Um, there's some draft pods and sealed, which is always fun because the limited environment in this game has been really good, like every set so far. Twin Suns for, the people that enjoy Twin Suns. we've gone on record saying that's not us, but who knows? Maybe you get a game in or two. And then in the bottom right there was the league play, which is a bit of a different one, like different than we've seen before. But it's basically like you can play 4 games every day, and you get 100 tickets for every game you play. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, and like you don't have to play with the people in the event. It's just like if you randomly play in the hall. But like also if you complete your 4 games, I think you get a special mat or something. So that one's a little different, kind of cool. And then we don't have it in this snippet, but there's also chances to play with the developers, I think, in both limited and constructed. So that's kind of cool if you have any interest in that. And one of them, I think it was the draft, you get a card from the prize wall signed by one of the developers if you win. So that's kind of a cool prize. All in all, yeah, these are pretty cool. I'm excited to try to play some of these on Saturday and grind out some tickets, and then hopefully I'll be busy Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the developers thing is cool. It's good that this game has been very good about getting their designers, developers, just staff in general, like interacting with the community at these big events. I know we met several of them at Richmond. It's just cool that they're always out there. They're listening. They're taking the feedback and they're mixing it up. You know, they're enjoying playing the game as much as we are, which is cool because obviously it's their job. So if they're enjoying it that much, it's a good sign for things.
Yeah, I haven't decided which side events I'm looking at playing at, or if I'm looking at playing it all on Friday. I might just take the time to kind of reset from travel because we're not coming in as early as we would like to. So we'll see what happens. I definitely could see playing in the premier events, but I could also see me just kind of taking the day off, maybe doing league play against each of you. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. So it's all good.
yeah. The cool thing about like these ones specifically, as opposed to like the draft with the designers ones, the specific scheduled ones, is that those are just fill and fire on demand events. And if there's as many people as we're expecting to be there, I'd imagine they're going to be firing off pretty regularly. So even if you do decide that you're gonna just chill out for Friday, start getting FOMO around 4 or 5 o'clock, you can probably still wander into the hall and get at least 1 or 2 pods in, which would be nice.
For me, it also depends on what the prize wall looks like. If they give me incentives to grind out tickets on Friday, I will definitely do so. But if they don't really, and they make things overcosted, or I'm not as interested in the promos as I'm hoping I'm going to be, then like Mike said, I might just take Friday off. But if the Luke and Vader showcases are reasonably priced, if the mats are super cool, I know there's still some more of the prize wall promo pack cards to be spoiled, and I know there's already some that I'm looking at. Like, I think I'm going to have incentives to play on Friday, but I could definitely see taking the day off.
Yeah, I mean, the other cool thing about Friday is, especially as we talk about this like open meta, brand new cards, all this stuff, it'll be fun kind of just to walk around, watch people play, see what people are playing, see what leader combinations they got. I'm just about 100% sure that we have to have our deck like completely registered before Friday, even with the day one buy. But
Yes.
we won't be able to make changes, but we'll have ideas and can come up with plans for different stuff that we see doing well.
Yeah, I mean, like, if there's anything popping off that we're not like super prepped for, at least we can try to do something in the hotel room on Friday night or whatever and figure out any matchups that we might have missed.
Yeah, you know what I mean? If all of a sudden somebody's on some completely rogue deck and some big team is on it or something, something snuck in. We might not be able to tech for it with our main deck or sideboard or anything. But we could at least like learn the lines, figure out what it's weak to, figure out everything as much as we can about it. You know what I mean?
Have we heard that there are vendors going to be here? Or how many vendors? Do we have any of that stuff confirmed?
I know that artists were confirmed, but I can't remember about vendors.
I don't think I've heard anything
I
specific about this. I'd hope there are.
kind of have to assume that there will be, but there is definitely a chance that it's just FFG selling sealed product on the side.
Are there vendors at like
Uh,
Magic, like Pro Tours and stuff?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That was There was
I
always
didn't
stories about the Pro Tour vendors selling out of cards. Nobody,
Oh,
like
right.
somebody's at the Pro Tour and they need one random uncommon and they're going from vendor to vendor and they can't find it.
Yeah. I didn't know how frequent or, typical it was that large companies acknowledge the secondary market, like, a Magic inviting vendors to Pro Tours. But if that's something that is pretty typical, then I wouldn't see any reason for them to not. But we'll see how it shakes out.
So I think, but I can't remember 100%. Wasn't there at least one or two vendors at Richmond, or did I just completely make that up?
No, there was a vendor at Richmond, but I think that was invited by SCG because SCG set up the tournament, and they're more than
Right.
willing to
That makes
acknowledge that
sense.
there's a secondary market. But this one's directly ran by
They
FFG.
are the same market.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get that. One way that they kind of like finance some of these stuff. I mean, pay an arm and a leg to get into this and everything, but they sell those vendor booths to the vendors and make a lot of money. I know, like talking to different tournament organizers and stuff, that was a big way to subsidize the cost of a giant event like this, especially at the Venetian, where it's a pretty classy place.
Makes a lot of sense.
Anything else about the actual event that you're excited for standing out?
I'm just excited for all of it. I mean, we've talked about the specifics, but there's still, what, 7-ish weeks left. So I got to make sure I can keep a little even, but I'm definitely excited. Hoping it, comes quicker. Next 7 weeks don't drag out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be like Kid on Christmas Eve night for the next month and a half. But I'm excited. It'll be a good thing. We're going to probably meet a lot of new people too. Everybody I've ever met in the Star Wars community has been good. Like I've enjoyed meeting all kinds of different people, but it's pretty limited in who we see and who we meet because of the area that we're in. None of us made it to Minneapolis. That could have been a little bit more of a middle ground, but Vegas not only being, on the West Coast, so there's going to be tons of West Coast players there that none of us know. And it's also Worlds, so the European meta is going to make its way over here too. It's going to be cool. It'll be a cool meeting of the minds. There's definitely a lot of players over there that I respect that I never had a chance to talk to or meet. That'll be kind of cool.
It's the best of the best, and you have a chance to be acknowledged as one of the best if you do own this event. So a lot on the line. It'll be a lot of fun.
So moving on, this is. I mean, I'm sure we're still short a few leaders before the full set's spoiled, but here's all the new ones. Just kind of wanted to bring them all up, put them all on screen. Let's look at them. Which of these do you guys think are actually going to be contenders? What have you been seeing in your testing? What have you been impressed by? What stands out the most out of this lump of cards?
I'll go first, I guess. I'll give you my best and my worst. So I think the best new leader that I have seen in my testing would be Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that the Green Hero Force deck is very good, and he seems to be the better of the two leaders between him and Navar Chris of who I want to be at the head of it. So I think with the Blue Force base especially, you have the Force dispensable to you every turn, and you can either use that with your units that use the Force, or if you have an extra Force token lying around, you can use Obi-Wan Kenobi, put the experience counter on something, and then you're going to just get it back the next turn. So it really feels like a free roll in your command zone, and then he flips out pretty easily. On attack, he's buffing your units, and the deck can kind of just get rolling. It's very powerful, just the cards that are in it, and I just think the leader coming out a little bit earlier and buffing your attacks has been strong for me. I think the worst leader is still Darth Revan. I think that he doesn't do even close to enough for losing an entire color. I don't think I have lost to many Darth Revan decks. I'm very okay if somebody shows up to Worlds and beats me with Darth Revan and rubs it in my face. I'll take that all day. But I really think that Darth Revan is the worst of these leaders, and he has just completely underperformed. I've tried to build him. I've played against him. I can't figure out how you would go about that.
I think I'm pretty much in the same boat as far as best leader. Obi-Wan Kenobi's been standing out the most. That's the card that it frequently just presents a very like cohesive plan. Um, it's just good mid-range deck. I think the best new thing to be doing is Jedi Consular. So you need to get green in that deck somehow. You need to be a hero deck, and just seems like because the Blue Force base is the best of those rare bases, Obi-Wan Kenobi deck just kind of builds itself. It feels very strong. The way that it doesn't build itself is probably just that you have too many good choices, and like deciding what you want where on the curve is going to be what defines whether or not Obi-Wan's one of the best decks, or you show up with the wrong half, in the wrong pile. For worst, as bad as I think Darth Revan is, I think Kit Fisto's actually like a whole step worse. At least you have a 3/6 restore one that has some kind of relevant ability on it. When you flip Darth Revan, even though you've lost the color, you flip Kit Fisto, and like if you don't have a board, like this thing is just absolutely miserable. It's not an impressive looking card at all. Leader side's fairly strong, but the fact that you just essentially don't have a flip turn probably a little bit too bad. Other things that are standing out to me a little bit, I've seen some cool Kane and Jarrus stuff. I think that there's potential for something to be there, very much like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi vein of just being a strong mid-range deck that Kanan gives shields, and then there's other stuff that can build up experience counters. Like the deck I ran into either earlier today or yesterday was actually a double blue Kanan deck that played Doom and a bunch of specters, and it just kind of got rolling. It hit pretty hard. I was definitely impressed by it. And Avar Chris, if somebody can figure that out, I do think that there's still potential for that card to be very good. It essentially has like the Anakin flip turn where it's massive. We've seen a couple cards that let you attack with a tapped force unit, or however those cards are worded, and maybe you kind of get to do the bravado thing like Anakin, but you have Avar Chris instead doing it. I don't know. I think there might be something there. The rest of this seems terrible. And I just don't think that they're going to see play outside of limited.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely agree that my best would be Obi-Wan, but to shy away from talking about Obi-Wan again, I have actually been interested in Mother Talzin. I haven't played any games with her myself, but I've played games against her, both Talzin Red and Talzin Green. And the deck actually was kind of interesting. I know the red deck took a couple games off me in testing. The I think it's a 4 mana 4/4 that you can use the force and give -3/-3 when played. Is a very strong card. Talzin kind of doing like a Quinlan impression where Quinlan does a damage, she gives -1/-1, but they can both like finish off a unit. She's been kind of interesting. I'm not convinced she's amazing, but I think there's something there. And a 3/7 flip on 5 is a very reasonable stat line. I would agree with Will that Kanan looks interesting. I've tried to build a couple builds of it, and I think we're just a couple creatures or specters short. But if we get some more creatures and specters spoiled by the end of the set, I could see there being some kind of interesting stuff there. But I definitely just think we're missing the worst leader here. You guys mentioned Kit Fisto and Revan, but like Grand Inquisitor looks awful. It's just Jin, but in villain, and Jin is widely considered like a bottom 3 leader. So I think Grand Inquisitor has to as well. I don't know. Him being shielded is like the only upside. I hate this card.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't look good, but at least you get to play villainy cards. Whereas Jin, you're kind of even worse off. Hunting villainy is at least strong. But I see what you're saying. I think picking a worst leader is mostly irrelevant because there's only going to be a couple of these that are playable, and the rest are basically all the worst because zero play is zero play.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I also just we haven't mentioned Snoke yet, and I'm kind of interested in him. He's kind of doing like a villain Ray impression. The way they do their giving experience is almost directly opposite, where Ray is trying to pump up small units and Snoke's trying to pump up your biggest unit. but they both flip on 6. They both have a reasonable sized body. They both give out experience tokens. The only difference is that Rey has the Restore 3, which is massive, and Snoke doesn't. So I'm not saying Snoke's close to Rey, but he's doing a very good Rey impression in Villainy, which is at least worth exploring.
Yeah, there's something there. He kind of reminds me of Tarkin too. We've seen that deck have some sort of success, where it's just like ability, kind of like grow my guys, beat down with like a aggressive mid range plan. One thing I want to say about Talzin, the reason why I think that it's doing a Quinlan impression, but it's a bad Quinlan impression, is because A, Quinlan's capitalizing off those pings for Tarkin Town, and B, the ping isn't free with Mother Talzin. Like the -1/-1, you do have to use your force token. So there, it does require some amount of setup as opposed to just Quinlan just free smacking stuff.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worse than Quinlan, but it's in Villain and Blue, which are good colors, so I could see it having some play.
Yeah, I think if it sees play, I think it's because it's more so than because there's just so many good blue villain leaders. Like we have Kira already. I don't have to like make an argument about Kira for you, but there's also still Iden. There's still Krennic. Like some of those other blue villain leaders are just very strong, and like even if she's not on the level of the best one, I don't even know if she's like what third, fourth, fifth best blue villain leader. Like I'd be surprised if she sees too much play before rotation, just because of the competition at that spot.
I could see that being true. I also just think she kind of fills the role as like the more mid-rangey version of the blue villainy leaders, where Kira, Krennic, Iden, whatever else wants you to go longer. Those have traditionally been built as soft control decks, where I think Iden kind of wants to be built as like an aggressive, or sorry, not Iden. Talzin wants to be built as like an aggressive mid-range deck.
Krennic's ability is like pumping damaged units. I feel like that's like more aggressive. But I feel like Krennic's the most aggressive blue villain leader. I just don't think the blue villain cards up to this point have supported the aggressive style, and that's why those decks have trended more controlly. But I think if we do get an aggressive one, Krennic kind of makes the most sense to me.
What about Gar Saxon?
I completely forgot Garth Saxon was a card, but yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
keep
another
forgetting by him.
I
Yeah, he's kind of aggressive.
the deck that's not real.
I don't- I agree with Will. I think all the blue villain leaders are super strong, and they all like can be built mid range, can be built control-y. So I don't know. She's competing with a lot. If she can take advantage of the force often, go for it.
Yeah, and like that kind of like brings us back to the Obi-Wan point where it's like the exact opposite. Like what really, really strong green hero leaders do we even have like available to us to brew with? The list is very, very short, especially something on like this side of the aggressive mid-range specter.
Sexy, Rexy, sexy, Rexy.
Yeah, it's like Rex, Yoda, Padme, like Leia. I can't even think of one that I've ran into besides those,
Those are
and
bad.
those aren't pretty good, and none of those are good. So like Yoda's probably fine. It's like that's what you want to do. I mean, I think it's immediately outclassed by both of these green hero leaders. Like depending on which side of the spectrum you want to go on, as far as like being aggressive or controlling. Actually, wait, no, I'm lying. Yoda's blue. So who is the green good leader? There just isn't one.
I don't even have a clue. If we're
But
just gonna,
that, I mean, that highlights what we're talking about, though. Like why Obi-Wan is so good and going to be probably a force in the meta because Jedi Consular seems like the most powerful thing that anybody's been doing in set five stuff. Like to me, in my opinion, like if you can turn one Jedi Consular, turn two, use it, you're just so far ahead that game. Like you're actually cheating.
all right. I just looked up this list. Are we ready to hear it? It's really embarrassing.
All right, let's go.
Hera, Leia, Boba, Hunter, Rex, Padme, Holdo, and Wedge.
Yeah, see, these are all just very bad.
That's a bad list.
Like Boba is maybe the best one out of them. Like Leia might have a word with you. If it's Mike, he's gonna say it's Rex, and then like some people enjoy Wedge, but like, oh, jeez, there are just four stone cold unplayable ones there. Sorry, Alan. I know you love
Yeah,
Holdo.
Wedge is kind of cool if you're like really into piloting, I guess. But you just have such a small subset of cards to work with to make that work. Like he's a very set specific leader.
But yeah, that just reinforces our point that like Obi-Wan and Avar are so good because they finally give us green leaders if we wanted to use other colored bases.
Which I think that at least on this podcast we've kind of come to the conclusion that if we get to do Force stuff, we'd really, really, really rather be playing that blue Force phase. But we kind of get, maybe that's just our like internal discussions and stuff, but it kind of does feel like we almost do get painted into the corner. Where like if we want to do this stuff, we want to do the most powerful new stuff, or we want to, or Avar is just the home for it.
I also want to give some love to Qui-Gon Jinn. I watched Will test today with Qui-Gon Jinn. It did not go that well, but I think there is some interesting things you can do with him. So this is a deck I still want to look at before Worlds, obviously. It'll be on my radar, but I was not very impressed with Will's testing today, but things might be on the up. We'll see.
You know, despite how those games went, there's something inherently very powerful. So I am not the brewer to do it, but I think if somebody figures out a line with that, especially I've seen both Qui-Gon Red and Qui-Gon Yellow, and I think both have options. Both have reasons you want to be in them. Cunning is just such a powerful card. I kind of personally like Qui-Gon Yellow a little bit more, but then on the other hand, Force Throw is just such a powerful card. So it'll be interesting to see where that deck goes. But the the bouncing and replaying like end of battlefield effects, very, very, very good. If somebody gets to figure out however that curve is supposed to go, and we still have more cards coming. It's possible that we get some more Force units that really help the deck like gel back together.
Yeah, there's some very strong lines that you can pull off there, like sneak attack out a guy, attack with him, use Qui-Gon's ability, bounce it back, play a new guy, get the when played trigger of both of them. Like then sneak attack doesn't have anything to sacrifice, but like maybe that's just more magical Christmas land than it actually is reality. I guess we'd have to do more testing to see, but I agree there's something there, but maybe not enough.
That's another one who he's got serious competition too. Like, yes, he's doing like cool tricksy stuff, but like, is he going to be better than Han One? Like, that's just still so strong. Like, is he even going to be better than Quinn, which is still so strong? So there's a lot more competition in yellow heroic than some like we were talking about with the green.
Did I just catch you admitting Quinlan was strong? I think that's the first time I've heard you say that.
I think Quinlan's a little bit stronger than Qui Gon as far as like just being a consistent deck. It like does things. Qui Gon isn't, or Quinlan's not a real deck. That deck died a long time. But
There we go. He's back.
it, in the new meta, you never know. Some of the old favorites come back out and play. Do you guys think that this will be as open of a meta as like we keep? Like, I don't know. I guess we keep saying that it's going to be this wide open meta, but if it's a wide open meta, don't we just want to be playing the most aggressive deck, just the most consistent thing, like something like I did with Sabine and Richland?
If I build a deck that is like a new meta deck, I believe that I have to test it against it. I believe I have to test it against Kira, Sabine, and Han Green. I think if it can pass those three tests and beat some of the new stuff, I think it'll be a good deck. I would not feel comfortable showing up with an Obi-Wan Kenobi deck that I haven't tested against Sabine, at least. Because there will be people that show up with the set 4 decks, and decks that they're very comfortable on, and can just run people over if they're too slow, too dirtily, and trying to do too much.
Yeah, that's like what's making me think of like the Qui-Gon stuff. It's just like that's cute, but like, don't you just get record? Like, don't you just get Florida caused out of the game? But we'll see. I tend to lean aggressive regardless of the meta, but I'm just wondering if that you guys thinking that that's going to have that extra advantage, especially as people go away, hopefully from the 30 plus health bases and switch to trying to do more force stuff with the either 28s or 25s again.
I think there's merit to it. I think me personally, you can pry my Kira from my cold dead hands, but I definitely agree there's merit to just playing the aggro deck. And we haven't seen a new very good aggro leader, so maybe it's just Sabine. We also like kind of haven't seen a lot of cool new toys for it, so you might just be playing mostly a set 4 deck. But there's no problems with that, obviously. So I could definitely see Sabine either being, the best choice or one of the best choices.
I mean, here's to hoping, right? If I get to play Sabine, I'll be much happier than if I have to play something else. But I'm definitely in the mindset of whatever we decide is the best deck is probably what I'm going to be bringing, regardless of personal feelings, because obviously this is an important tournament. Definitely personal feelings aside, really, really put it all in, try to win.
I will say, if you're looking to play Sabine, you might have some new roadblocks in your way with some new 3/3 Sentinels. So we've got 2 of them. We have Loth Wolf, which is a 2-mana Vigilance hero, 3/3 creature with Sentinel that can't attack. It still is a very good roadblock and can definitely gum up the ground. And then we got a new 3-mana Vigilance Villainy First Order Vehicle Fighter that's a 3/3 as well. It has Sentinel, but it can attack. So interesting cards that you might have to consider if you're trying to combat these aggressive leaders in your dirtly decks. You might be able to play some of these new Sentinels and kind of slow the game down.
Yeah, they're both going to be really annoying. Lothwolf
When I
especially, like it just answers so much and just like puts a roadblock really on those early aggressive turns.
Yeah, Lothwolf's cool, especially in a Kanan deck. Like I put against the Kanan deck the other day, and they just kept shielding him, and I could not get through him for like 2 or 3 turns, and it just completely stalled out my game. I think I ended up winning in the end, but like it was certainly annoying and stumped me for quite a while.
Yeah, that double blue Kanan deck I was talking about was doing a lot of that stuff, shielding it over and over again, and then playing Dune on whatever 4 or 5 and just put counters on it, making the thing huge and just really difficult to deal with. Ended up working out the same. I did get past it, but it's an annoying thing. I was super interested in the Kanan blue deck. I'm always a little bit interested. And this is like from the scared aggro player in being able to cast Vigilance for 4 because kill a guy, heal 5 just like resets my entire beginning of the game. And if I don't have a beginning of the game against a deck like that, it's going to be really tough.
Nikki, any thoughts about Supremacy Tie in Kira?
Yeah, from my Kira brain, I'm definitely very excited for this card. Originally, when it had gotten spoiled, I took a quick look at it and had some quick impressions, and I didn't think it was going to be much better than the 3/2 Sentinel that's just villainy. I don't remember, is it Black Sun Starfighter maybe? But after talking with some people, I was very wrong and realized that this can be shielded with Kira and the other one can't. So this is a very big upgrade. So I think it's still going to be meta dependent whether I want to play this or not, since the slots are so tight in that deck. But it's definitely a nice tool to have in the toolbox to have something to fall back on if I need to combat any of the space decks like Vader or Han or whatever.
You can also pull it off of your 7-cost Ambush Vader, which will be pretty nice too if you need to get it up there.
Yes. That doesn't give it an advantage over the Black Sun Starfighter or anything, but still just continues to make it a good card.
I think you kind of wanted the Black Sun Starfighter. It was just not good. So I don't know what, like, because you could hit it off Vader, like getting the Space Sentinel was a good thing that like sometimes was your out to winning. And you just couldn't play that card because it wasn't actually a good card. Whereas this one seems like it's actually just a good card because of the Kira synergy. So I think getting it off Vader is actually a big factor.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm definitely happy to have a Space Sentinel that is good that I can pull off of Vader. I vividly remember when I was playing the Black Sun Starfighter, I won a game in a store showdown that I went on to win because I found a Sentinel off of Vader. It was like I had like 15 cards or whatever in my deck, and I had a Vader, and I needed to find my last Black Sun Starfighter. So, having the Space Sentinels are good. Just having room for them in your deck will be the difficult part. It's kind of, in my mind, choosing between these and like the Phase 2 Dark Troopers, or sorry, Phase 3 Dark Troopers. So it's like, do I want my 3/3 in the sky or in space or on the ground? So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how you construct your sideboard. Maybe that's like a sideboard swap depending on matchups, if you can find the space. But I'm not sure that this really seems like a sideboard card. I think you might just have to make a main deck consideration.
I guess if I'm really scared of Vader or something, and I like don't want to stoop to the level of playing Disruptive Burst, I could play this, and then it's good in like the Vader matchup and the Han matchup. I don't know. We'll figure it out as
Sure.
it gets closer, as we see more cards. Like I'm not super worried about figuring out how to construct a sideboard right now, since we don't even know what the meta looks like. But I will be
Yeah.
thinking of this card when it comes to constructing a main deck and a side deck.
I mean, it's a powerful piece. We're getting to the point in the game where we have enough sets where there's just going to be so many powerful pieces that it's going to be tough to make decisions on what to make the deck, what to cut from the deck, go from there. And that's kind of the problem with Sabine, right? Like, it's not that we're not seeing cards that could go into Sabine. It's like, what are these better than already? There'll probably be something, but Sabine's kind of been a deck that only gets a couple changes every set, if that. So
I said I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I'm not like sure you're actually getting cards printed for Sabine as the Rebel aggro deck, and this isn't the Rebel set. I don't think it's that we're seeing cards that are like in consideration or like worse than what you have. I just don't think they're for you. Like you could make an argument that maybe like Gunji is good enough just being a 2/5, but him not being a rebel messes up some of your strongest synergies with Fleet Lieutenant, Wing Leader, Rebel Assault, maybe some others that I'm missing. That like good card soup decks are getting to that point, but the tribal decks or typal decks, however they're called now, there's still just you're not getting cards this set.
yeah, we had a set. I want to say it was the second set, maybe, where there just wasn't even a rebel card, or like there was one and it was Jin or so. But out of that, we still got Poe and Rick and Darksaber. So like there will be cards even if they don't necessarily jump onto the rebel theme. Like even if this isn't the set for me, we'll see. You know what I mean? There might be just some random event, some random upgrade, something that just makes the deck better, fills a role, fills a slot that the deck needed, and the fact that it's not Rebel and Rebel synergy, like it's okay. I don't think Poe and Wrecker are getting replaced, but I think Poe and Wrecker are a good example of a card can be strong enough that the fact that it's not a Rebel is still okay.
Yeah, I think your best chance is getting like a new blade that you want over the dark saber.
Yeah. Or enough early Jedi's that playing General's Blade is actually just back to being correct. I mean, Sabine went through phases where playing Darksaber wasn't correct at all. Like, he just didn't play any Darksabers because going General's Blade on turn 2 was too strong. The meta's adapted. I think Darksaber's in a better spot now, but the meta's going to be changing again, so we'll see where we're at. One thing that's always going to be a thing is the more cool stuff that gets printed, the more, I mean, not both, that's not cool, but the more like interesting, fun cards that get printed, the less room people end up having for like their bread and butter cards like Waylay and Takedown. That opens the door for some of the Sabine stuff to really be sneaky good. We also have the fortunate slash unfortunate situation of the day one bye where we're not going to get very many easy games. So we definitely have to build the list tight and get ready for some good players coming at us. We don't get the early 4, 5, 6 rounds of just I'm playing against somebody who doesn't necessarily like they're just here for a good time. They're planning side events for Saturday and Sunday already. But Friday, hey, we're here. We're gonna play in the main event. You never know what's gonna happen. Those are the decks that tend to be trying to do the most fun stuff. Sabine kind of eats their lunch. Kira too.
Yeah, I mean, I've never built my deck to try to beat players that I'm not worried about beating, but I understand the argument. I mean, I'm just going to play the best deck to beat all players, not just trying to find a certain subset of them. But
No,
I hear what you're
no,
saying.
no.
We don't get to play against some of the more cool fringe rogue stuff when it,
Yeah,
all shakes out in the
that's
wash.
more what I mean. Like it's going to be a very, very concentrated meta, and I think whatever the best 3 or 4 decks are going to be like 70% of them. I mean, that's a stretch, but by the time we get to day 2, I think we really could look at something like that for the top subset, and then it's just rogue decks the rest of the way through. Maybe like single digits of each one. And there's a few randoms. All right, Mike. So you've kind of been the brewing captain of the team. This is where you're at with Obi-Wan so far. Why don't you talk us through some of the choices?
Yeah, this was my second attempt at Obi-Wan, as the title suggests. I'm not 100% on this list at all. This is not what I'm likely to play, even if I select Obi-Wan to play at the Galactic Championship. But some things that we have talked about that have been very good are early Jedi units, especially Jedi Counselor, that can hold the General's Blade or cheat out our expensive units even quicker. Is kind of the bread and butter of what Obi-Wan's trying to do in general, or at least what this version of the deck is trying to do. If that plan fails, we have a couple 3s and 4s that ramp us or play defense very well. Those being Obi-Wan Kenobi and Chirrut, both having Sentinel or having ways to gain Sentinel. And then Eth Koth is obviously our ramp card. We usually have a Force token lying around, so when Eth dies, we'll get him as a resource, and it'll help us get to our 6 and 7 cost turns sooner. As we get to 6 and 7, we're obviously playing Obi-Wan Kenobi as another Sentinel to kind of protect our bigger bombs, and then Kelleran Beck and Luke to close out games, kill stuff and stick around, or either find more units and kind of overwhelm the board. To go onto our units, we have a couple of swords. Obviously, we talked about General's Blade to reduce the cost, but Jedi Lightsaber is strong as well. Has the same stats, but helps us kill some harder to kill units even better. And then a couple of tricks in the deck. Shatterpoint has been super strong with the Force token, being able to kill something right away. Even the non-Force mode of killing something with 3 or less toughness has been good. The Force is with you, or the Force is with me, is very good as well. Everything in our deck can benefit as a Force unit, so they get the 2 experience counters and the shield, and especially as we kind of get up in the curve, those units are going to hit like a truck and be able to defend themselves. Some more trickier cards that are lower costed that I haven't been 100% about but have been good in some situations are Mystic Reflection. Obviously, all our units are Force, so it's always giving that neg 2, neg 2. So, very situational. Obviously, a lot better against aggro decks or low toughness units, but the toughness of units is trending up. As you can see in our deck, all our 1-drops have 4 or 5 toughness. So, it's not really killing a lot of things, so that card might get cut in the future. And then it binds all things. Everything is Force. So, healing damage off our stuff, our Sentinels especially, and then being able to deal that damage back onto something else can be very strong and help us get through. So, this is my initial take on the deck. As I said, things will change, but if you're looking for lists or things like this, I'm always willing to give you opinions about decks or talk about stuff, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah, so one thing that's jumping out to me the most is there's not a 5 drop. There's no 5 resource unit to really capitalize on the Jedi Consular. Like turn 1, I get the Force. Turn 2, I play. Is that something you thought about at all, or just kind of yes?
Yes, I haven't been super impressed with the 5 drop force units. Like Kiadimundi's good, but you have to have coordinate and you're only gonna have one unit in play.
Right.
And then even so, like you're probably not gonna have coordinate because they're coming right after the Jedi Counselor and they're gonna try to shut down your game plan. So I have kind of leaned into more of a trickier version where it looks like I'm gonna slam 5s and 6s a lot quicker, but I'm really just trying to get some defensive 4s or 4s that trade well, and then the the fourth research turn where we can start playing Obi-Wans is really where I want to kind of get to, or be able to play 2 3 drops in a row.
Yeah, I guess we're really hopeful that we're gonna get a few more powerful mid-range force threats, even though we've already gotten a lot of them. The one that I would think of the most is just like Ayla Secura. Just putting down a 6/5 on turn 2 feels incredibly powerful. The coordinate will be a little bit tough, obviously. You're talking about you're only gonna have one unit on the battlefield, but you untap, play a unit, attack, it's back active. If you decide you need that for whatever reason. I'm
Yep.
wondering if maybe there's room for more ones or something. Mystic Reflection probably very good because you still have a turn 2 of like potentially kill their guy plus play your 4. I guess you also have the option of just like turn 1 Jedi Counselor, turn 2 play a 3 drop and a 2 drop, which is still like super powerful.
Yeah, that is real good. Looking more at the top
You
end,
know,
I've been really impressed with Keller and Beck. Originally, when I saw the card, I was just thinking it was going to be like set 1 Vader, but without ambush. So they gave him a few extra um, attack points. But I've been much more impressed with this card than that. It's kind of like a mini Home One, where it has the same stats as Home One, doesn't give out the restore, and searches the deck instead of the discard pile, but it's very similar in the fact that you're getting that discount. You're immediately getting a 2-for-1 with this. It's unlike Vader in the way that you can play a bigger unit off of this if you continue to spend resources. Vader caps out at I have to play my 3 drop, where this, if you have an extra resource lying around, you could play an Eve Koth or a Chariot or whatever. So yeah, I've definitely been very interested in this card, and it has way overperformed for me in my games. Have you guys had similar reactions to this card, or are you lower on it, higher on it?
it's very strong. It's like kind of the grown test card of the set. I feel like every time somebody drops that against me, I'm just like, it's gonna be work to get through. The 7/7 body's like not irrelevant at all. It can either just start blocking you or it can just start wiping your board.
Yeah,
And then
we
he comes with a friend. The friend scales.
yeah we talked about the conflict between Keller and Beck and Luke at the 7 drop slot. I just do not care. Both of these cards are heavy hitters, and you want to play as many as you can for as cheap as you can. And they're both doing different things. Keller and Beck's obviously expanding your board. Luke is being a removal spell and sticking around, so having access to both is good. And yeah, I'm pretty set on playing all 3 in my Obi-Wan Kenobi decks for right now.
I guess one other thing I noticed was that we're not playing resupply, which I think is right, but like early Obi-Wan and early getting to our top end is good. Have you considered that at all, or are you just trying to be more aggressive in the early game with your counselors and general splids?
Yeah, I typically am trying to close the game out faster, especially if there are aggro decks that I need to be able to beat. I have liked being able to go faster. If you wanted to go bigger, I could definitely see you cutting kind of the trickier cards, playing kind of Resupply and Spark of Hope. Is that
Yep.
the? You could try to play both of those and then play Home One, and now everything is a grown card once you get to 7 resources. We have Keller and Beck, Luke, and Home One. So there's definitely different ways that this can go. This is obviously my first take, and we'll make those changes and see if those cards are good. But yeah, definitely a ramp version of this deck is probably out there and is kicking somewhere. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's merit to building this like a raid data vault from this set, where you just play a large density of units, and with this we can make them a little bigger with Obi-Wan and the Force. But you can continue grinding with some of your smaller units, and then reaching your top end that's even better with Killer and back down. But you know, I'm not sure if that actually is doing anything better than what the Ray deck is currently doing, or if that's just a different take on it. But I've been thinking about that every time I look at this Obi-Wan list, that maybe that there's another different build of it out there that I want to explore.
I think I'd be kind of scared to do that with the 8 less HP. You can dirtle around and kind of get your guys a little bit bigger, but you lose a lot of that HP bonus that you get from playing the Ray Data Vault deck, where she's going to restore it off your base, and you have kind of ways to come back into the game with vigilance and stuff like that. Our deck isn't really there, would have a hard time fitting vigilance in, so
Well,
that
they
would
don't
be.
play Vigilance.
I don't play vigilance.
No, they don't play Vigilance.
My apologies. Oh, it's because I played. It's because I'm still scarred from the Ray Double Blue deck.
Yeah.
But the
I
restore
just,
on Ray and the restore on the other units helps a lot more. We only have Luke to restore, so that would be my only thing to be scared of is the 25 HP on our base.
yeah, I don't know if I
Yeah, the
can.
restore on Ray. The
Go
restore
ahead.
on Ray is a big deal. I mean, you have to deal 50 points of damage to that deck before you've actually killed it. I don't think that we have anywhere close to that like level of lifespan because we just don't have the same restore. Though we do have strong sentinels between Obi-Wan sometimes and Chirrut all the time. We will get some amount of time, but I think if you're trying to play that long game with these cards, then you do want Avar instead of Obi-Wan, just because if we're getting to that point in the game, like I'd just rather the massive hit from Avar.
Yeah, you're probably right there. That Avar might be better. I'm just kind of thinking of doing something similar to Ray, where Ray takes your small mopey units and turns them into something real, similar to what Obi-Wan can do. But the health is definitely a concern. Maybe that concern gets alleviated a little bit if you play the 28 HP base and are less focused on having the Force every single turn, and just accepting that you're going to usually have, you know, a random Gunji or Yaddle in play that can get you the Force. But maybe it's just a bit of a reach, and Rey is the best at doing what she can do. So just do something different with Obi-Wan instead of trying to be Rey at home.
I would say the main combo of the deck
I think
is the fact that your Jedi Counselor can activate on turn 1 with Virgin's Temple. So
Yeah.
I would be very scared of not having that in my deck, but you could be right.
I mean, I'm gonna keep hyping her up. Do that with Avar at the 28 health base.
You
So
could even do that
if
with
it does turn out that 25 is too few health to play into whatever meta we're going into, I think it makes Obi-Wan a little bit weaker.
I'm
Just
confused.
because he's not the best Jedi consular deck anymore.
I'm confused why you would want to increase the health of your base, but then also increase the flippage of your leader. You're both making yourself healthier and slower. So you're in the same spot. I could see if Virgin's Temple is good and Obi-Wan Kenobi can get better by being Avar Chris, and you get to the top end quick enough, and you're consistently doing that, you don't need Obi-Wan to flip on 5. Play Avar. Or if it is too slow, then you play the 28. You kind of play around if you want the Jedi Council tricks, but now you have a deck that can help and be healthy. I don't know if I would necessarily want to get the 3 health to get a leader that's flipping 4 turns later.
Probably not a full 4 turns, but I definitely see what.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting discussions to be had when considering how to build Blue Green Hero, seeing as there's a multitude of different good leaders, whether it be Obi-Wan, Avar, Rey. Like, there's, I guess there's a chance you might want to play like Luke, or I think that's a bit of a stretch, but who knows? We're getting a lot of good cards added to that card pool, and it's going to be interesting to look at the exact best way to build it. And I'm hoping that's something that we can either find by worlds or find that that's not something we want to play. But I would assume that given enough time, we will find the best variation or what we believe to be the best variation.
I think my opinion on this a little bit too is that it's not as important to have Jedi Consular turn one in this specific build because we don't have fives and like really want to use it to just get more value. So like using it on turn three as opposed to turn two isn't the end of the world. Like we can go turn one Gunji, turn two Consular, something like that. Attack, get the force for turn three, and then be able to play Obi-Wan or play 2/3 drops.
I mean, I'd still like to play a 4-drop a turn early, but I guess it technically isn't as important. It helps with my Kelleran back. Then I'm playing 4s instead of what I consider to be weaker 5s, but I think
That makes sense. Helping Kelleran definitely is a thing.
so. We'll see what ends up happening.
Hopefully, we just get a couple good fives in force, and we won't really have to
Yeah,
consider it.
yeah. Like I was looking through the list, like just like you said. I mean, it's Ayla Sakura, Kiadi Mundi, and maybe Ray. Once you get past that, I don't even think any of them worth considering. Like there's a couple 5/5s with like different random lines of text on them. One of the new cards from this set, it's Petronek or something weird like that. It's a 5/5 that has ambush if your opponent has the force. So in like a Jedi Consular mirror, like I go Jedi. If I have the initiative, I go Consular. You go Consular. I untap, play that thing, ambush your Consular. Now I'm just so far ahead.
Yeah, I could see that sneaking into sideboards.
I mean, even if you don't get the ambush, just putting the 5/5 down. I mean, these fours are pretty much that power level. Like a 4/4 shielded versus a 5/5 is probably pretty close. A 5/4 with extra text on it is probably pretty close to the 5/5. So I'm not sure that it's the best card, but and I still think Ray unit is pretty good. Being able to heal your units, especially now that they have more toughness and they're not going to get one shotted quite as much, I think might be more relevant. For like second line of text wouldn't come up in this deck because everything's heroic, but I guess you can put experience counters on Chirrut sometimes. But that's basically it.
Chirrut's been an underrated all-star in this deck. People are
Yeah.
very afraid to attack into him when you have the force, and then you can kind of dirl around, play your turn, and then if you still need to use the force at the end of it, use your force then.
It makes a lot of sense. He just seems like he just kind of eats creatures and doesn't take too much damage back because of that. Do you think this deck needs more removal at all? We didn't really talk about Shatterpoint. I know that's a really good one.
I mean, we have Shatterpoint, it binds all things,
After,
and Mystic Reflection, and I think that's more than most people are playing currently. Luke is also a removal spell, so
yeah, I mean, Mystic Reflection definitely can be good. It binds all things, definitely can be good, but I don't think they're killing too much stuff. Like, they sometimes kill, they don't just kill. I'm wondering if, like, some number of those should just be, like, takedowns or something like that, or maybe you need some number of Fell of the Dragons for bigger stuff.
yeah, it could be. Um, this is what I've been trying out and liking so far, but I can definitely move
How
around
have those
cards.
cards been for you so far?
It binds all things when it goes off is really good. Again, just we talked about Churret, but Sentinels in general, they have to attack into it with their 2/4. Now I get to heal all that damage off, kill their 2/4 all the way. It was kind of scary for them to even attack into Churret anyway because I had the Force token up. Um, so it binds all things can definitely be very strong when you're like hitting with your 2/4 into a 2/4 and then healing yours and killing theirs. Mystic
That makes a lot
Reflection,
of sense.
Mr. Mystic Reflection is the same idea. So your 2/4s hitting other 2/4s, your 3/5s hitting other 3/5s. The toughness that is usually left over is 2. So you get the Mystic Reflection for 1 mana, kill their guy, finish it off, and now your guy is still standing. When you pull it off,
Makes
that's
sense.
when the cards look very good. When they slam a Luke on the table and they killed your guy and you have a Mystic Reflection in hand, it's not as good. But that's the game we're playing.
I know it's kind of off topic, but we're talking about trying to win these 2-4 and 3-5 wars in the early game. Maybe we just need to be looking a little deeper into Anakin, because Anakin, you know, has the built-in way to win the 2-4 and 3-5 wars, that I can just attack my Yaddle into your Yaddle, deal 2 damage to my base, restore one of it off, and kill your Yaddle. Same thing with, trying to attack my Obi-Wan into your Obi-Wan and whatever. That, like, Anakin does a great job of taking these low attack, high defense units and getting the best out of them. And if that's where we're moving from a game design perspective, at least for this set, and we've seen that to be true with the 2 drops that we're playing in this deck, it could be at least something that we need to consider because it seems quite powerful.
Yeah, I definitely want to test with Anakin. I haven't built an Anakin deck yet because honestly, I thought that one of you guys would pick it up right away, and I was trying to do things elsewhere, kind of spread around resources. But Anakin innately is a red deck, gonna have Force Throw, gonna help you win these trade wars. It's definitely something that I think could be strong and something we might want to look at next week.
Nick's the Anakin guy. We'll make him do it. Nick, I hope you're listening to this. Build an Anakin deck.
The fact that we haven't really brewed too much with Force Throw is probably a little bit questionable, but I think that's just such an obviously powerful card that we're building with it in mind. But we very well might end up on some sort of red blue Force deck. A lot of these cards are super powerful, or red green. I've seen a couple red green lists floating around.
Force Throw is just the low hanging fruit. We know Force Throw is powerful, so at some point we're going to get to that. But I think we're doing a good job of exploring the other colors first, so that then when we try to build Force Throw decks and we incorporate red, we kind of will have some experience on if we like green or like blue better as a baseline. Obviously, we'll then test them both out with red. But I think we're doing a good job of trying to do the harder part first and then coming back to, oh, wow, we just got a bunch of new Force units. Oh my, Force Throw's good. Oh, I didn't think of that. But I think this is a good starting place, and we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, 3-mana Force Throw might just still be good enough. Like, that card is going to be very, very strong, so we might just be spotting.
I've played some 3-mana Force Throws. They feel real good when your opponent has high cost things to discard or you discard yourself. It doesn't feel great, but it does its job. But when you play 3 mana and it's just like discard a card, deal 1 or 2 damage to something, it doesn't feel great. So you have to get good Force Throws off if you're going to pay 3 for it.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be room for some amount of heavy discard to be good into a meta where people are trying to do some of this fun stuff. Like if everybody's going to play this many big drops between Force Throw, Pillage, you can really mess up people's playing. Wondering if some type of deck like that does come back. Maybe that's the Qui-Gon Red deck where like your engine's kind of hard to set up and it's a little bit easy to disrupt, so you just play a ton of discard. Then once your engine gets going, it's unstoppable. I got pillaged a couple times in a game the other day, and it's a pretty miserable feeling. That card, when it shows up in multiples, is pretty impressive, especially when coupled with like Force Throws and Ahsokas. But that's probably enough talking about this deck. We're going to start beating the dead horse. We just keep talking about these same cards over and over again. But at least this was an episode where we didn't only talk about Sabine and Kira. So we got that going for us. We're branching out, sharing some new stuff. So that's going to do it for the pod tonight. Appreciate you guys for listening. Um, as always, I'm going to keep saying it. Do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps us out. Kind of motivates us to keep doing these on a weekly basis, even when some of the cast can't make it all the time. We still like getting together for you guys, talking about this stuff and hearing your ideas on what we have to say. So until next time, we will catch you guys on Against the Galaxy.
Peace.
Peace.